Step into the Fieldhouse, your front row seat to legendary victories and untold stories. Hey, I'm your host, Lance Lunner, breaking down sports from the inside out, along with co-host Jimmy Lackey. It's more than just a game. It's the Fieldhouse Podcast. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome into the Fieldhouse Podcast. This is a production of the Kids Inc. Sports Network. I always love saying that, and I'm one of your co-hosts, Lance Lunner. We have Jimmy Lackey.
He's the host. Let's just be honest. If you watch the intro, it says, I'm your host, Lance Launert, with my co-host, Jimmy Lackey. So let's just get that straight.
No,
and we're not redoing, Maddie, we're not redoing that intro. So let's just get that straight.
All right. I'll take that for one time.
That's expertise and hack.
Exactly.
Johnny Carson and Ed McMahon.
Exactly. I appreciate the honor of being able to do this on a weekly basis, but we have a really, really special guest today. We'll get to him in a second, but we got to keep our tradition alive. What's the best thing that happened to you today, Jimmy?
I just left a really, really good meeting with one of the major players at the city that'll be overseeing our project, and spent about an hour and a half with him, just getting everybody on the same page, and us making sure that we're going to be able to work together going forward, because we're going to have to rely on the city for permits and all the things that go along with the construction project. And Jerry Danforth is definitely the guy that you want in your corner on that deal. And so I got to spend about an hour and a half with Jerry this morning and go over the project as a whole and just how we want to work as a team. We don't want either one of us holding each other up, and making sure that the alignment and the visions are in sync. And I definitely walked away from that meeting knowing that they are. And I've known that up to this point. Everybody we've met with through the city at this point in time has been so cordial and very accommodating in the process. They understand how big this project is, and just having the opportunity to meet with the guy that oversees it all and walk away with that same feeling, that's definitely the best thing that's happened to me today.
Yeah, later we'll talk about the big day coming up, and it's about time. It's got to be a major relief for you and everybody involved just to have something physically happen out there. Yep. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hey, our guest today, we have John Peterson. How do you like to be introduced, John? I mean, honestly, John comes on my radio show. I'm very thankful for that from time to time. And then we also have the Canyon ISD Coaches Show that we help out with. But one thing about John, Jimmy, is he's one of the youngest ADs in the state of Texas.
Look at him.
I know.
I feel old. I feel ancient over here.
I'm talking in a multi-school system, though, you know what I mean, let alone just in a school system. But, John was a coach, teacher. He's a dad. He's a husband. He's doing it all. But he has taken over when Toby Tucker decided to move on. They went in-house. I loved it. And they went with John Peterson as the CISD athletic director. Do you have different titles, or is that the title?
That's the title. On good days, that's the title. On bad days, I'm sure there's other ones that people say. But
amen.
No, just so thankful to be here today, and what an honor. And just thanks that you guys had me on today.
Oh, we're loving this. We're loving this. It's a corny question. You've heard it before, but what's the best thing that it's a little early in the day, but what's the best thing that happened to you today?
Well, definitely it's this right here, getting to visit with you. Typically we have our date night Monday night at House Divided, our coaches show, but being here with you and Jimmy, just what an honor and what a pleasure, and I can't thank you enough for allowing me to come on your program today.
Thanks for taking time out of your schedule today.
Yeah, we do. We really do. This will be going to be a fun conversation. We have a tradition here, John. We're kind of catching you off guard, but since it is our 58th podcast, and we'll start with Jimmy. We'll give you a break, but just think on a player you played with in high school, college, whatever. 58, somebody you liked growing up, anybody. So, 58's a tough one. But 58. Jimmy, who'd you come up with?
So when I was young, I just NFL. I was all about football. And, you know my story, writing to Bart Starr and Donnie Anderson.
Yeah.
I had a Pittsburgh Steelers trash can in my bedroom. And the steel curtain and that whole bunch, Terry Bradshaw, Franco Harris, all those, but Jack Lambert, hands down, is my 58.
That is a good one, man.
Yeah, hands down, he's my 58.
There's not that many 58s, like really, really famous that you rooted for growing up. Thomas from the Kansas City Chiefs. who had the tragic death, but what a pass rusher he was. I got to go with Lambert too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was even though the steel curtain was kind of the front four. Lambert was the linebacker with no teeth, and
I used to tell people when I was a kid he was my cousin.
Is that right?
I just thought he was that good,
okay.
man. He was a beast.
Right. I love that.
He was a beast.
So, do you have
58
is a hard one, you know what I mean?
You're thinking lineman, football. I'm a baseball guy. 58's not really the most popular number when it comes to it. So I'll probably have to refer to Google or someone along those lines. 58, like you said, Thomas from the Chiefs. The guys you were talking about probably a little bit before my time.
Oh yeah, Lambert's way before your time. Yeah, but, it's all good.
But yeah, no, I'll have to. All
right, yeah,
let you know on 58. That's a tough one.
58 was there's others that we could have given you.
John, we have a book. My dad gave me this book years ago, and when we started doing this, I thought, you know what, that book's on my bookcase at the house, but it says
best 58 in that.
Best by number. I haven't looked. I don't know.
We didn't. We usually look at that, but it's kind of cool. I might have told you the story before. I have no memory, you know what I mean, but I can remember like jersey numbers for some reason a little bit. Mm-hmm. So my pin numbers, all my, we have all these 4 numbers in our head. Mm-hmm. The ones probably to get into your ATM, absolutely. To get into your house or get into your office. And so I remember them by jersey numbers.
There you go.
Like the bathroom where I work is Don Meredith, 17, and Babe Ruth, who is 3. Yeah. So 1703
to get in I'm really similar when it comes to, having to remember numerical stuff. One of our codes that we have is, I just think it's a double play. It's 4-6-3-2, so that's kind of my mentality is.
I like that. Definitely
what's
a baseball
that,
player.
What's that code? No, it's got to be.
Look who it is.
When you think about it.
Jack Lambert.
I love it. Who's below it?
Elites have Peter Boulware.
Okay.
Wilbur Marshall. I forgot about him.
Yeah.
Derek Thomas, Jesse Tuggle, and then notables are Mike Stratton, Wally Hilgenberg. I think he was a Viking, maybe.
I think so.
Kim Bocamper, Dewey Selman. I forgot about Dewey Selman, and Carl Banks.
Wow, Carl Banks, that's a giant. Yep. A lot of older football players there. So yeah. Yep. Hey, we wanted to bring John in today. He does such an amazing job, but also so you guys can get to know him a little bit, along with Jimmy. And then we also have a big news with Rock Rose that we'll conclude the podcast with today, if you don't mind on that. I know you love talking about that, and I know you have John and Jimmy just pretty much met, but I'm glad we're getting these two together because they're forces of nature. And I will say this, John, not everybody grows up and wants to be you don't say, oh, I want to be an athletic director. You know what I mean? Yeah. But as you were progressing along in your career, if you don't mind, so first of all, your early influence, is it somebody that inspired you maybe to, first of all, want to be a coach?
Absolutely.
Who is that?
So, coaches have always been probably some of the strongest impacts of my life. I had a really strong coach in high school. I grew up in McKinney in the Metroplex. A guy by the name of Jeremy Price. He's a longtime baseball coach there. He was so influential of not just my high school baseball playing career, but just the young man that I wanted to become. So coaches have always been very, very strong, impactful for me. Went on to play at University of Texas at Tyler baseball in college, and had a guy by the name of James Valade. He went to Oklahoma State. He's now with Prestonwood. Coaches have always just been so impactful for me. So that's something that I knew when I was get done playing in college. I always knew I wanted to give back, and I wanted to be around the game and be around athletics. I don't think I could do anything. I played t-ball when I was 4 years old. Playing football and baseball in high school. Athletics is always just, it's who I am. Like it's what I do. I can't see my life without athletics being the central hub of it, or just, kind of being around athletics. So I knew I wanted to get into the coaching profession. So that was really big on it. And as I progressed through my career, there's 2 main people that have always been the biggest impact on it. And the very first one's Corey Hamilton. I would not be.
Jimmy knows him well.
Would not be the person, the dad, the husband, the coach, the administrator, fill in the blank. What Coach Hamilton's done for me personally, I can't even put it into words. He's an older brother to me. Anytime I had any kind of troubles, whether it was in the classroom, whether it was on the field, whether it was in marriage, dad, Corey was the first person I called when I got named AD. He was my very first person I called was Corey. I mean, he means that much to me as a person. His whole family does too. And then secondly would be Toby Tucker. I mean, Toby, he really grabbed me under his wing when I was assistant AD for 2 years, and he kind of showed me the ropes of getting out of my comfort zone. I mean, this is completely out of my comfort zone. If you know anything about me, I want the coaches to get the credit. I want to be in the background. I support our coaches. I bust my tail to get what our coaches need, what our student athletes need. But I don't like the limelight. I'm more of a in the back of the room kind of guy, and I want our coaches because they deserve it. I mean, what they do, the hours they pour in, they need to get the credit. I'm more of kind of getting in the back. Well, if you know anything about Toby Tucker, he wants to be there, and he does a fantastic job.
He's the microphone.
And that's just
that's a good one.
That's just his personality. When he does that, and he really showed me the ropes of how to get out of your comfort zone and to embrace that. And I think in the position that I'm in right now, we have to advocate for our athletic department, and not just our athletics department, for our school district. And I think our athletics, we strive. We're the front porch of Canyon ISD. And you go to the game last week. I mean, there's almost 11,000 people in the stands, and
amazing.
That's 11,000 people that get the opportunity to see Canyon ISD, and that's something that we take a lot of pride in. And we really want to strive to put the best product to be the top athletic department, and not just the Panhandle, but the state of Texas. And we make sure we're doing the right things, of hiring the right coaches, of being in the right place. But yeah, athletics and has really just been a huge part of my life. So it's such an honor to be able to give back. And I think that's probably my biggest thing is to be that steward of, you want to give back to the community that supports you so much. So, but yeah, I couldn't see myself doing any other line of profession. But yeah, it's pretty surreal some days.
Coach's kid right here too. So, Jimmy, that echoes a lot what you've said on our podcast for a lot of a lot of these events we have.
Being around coaches, it's all I know. It's all Lance knows. Yep. And unless you've been in those shoes, it's hard to explain. You talk about Toby, man. I don't have a problem doing this. I never have. Here's me. You can put 6,000 people in a room, and as long as I have command of the conversation that we're talking about, I'm comfortable. But you put me on a PA mic in a gym calling a basketball game, and I would freeze up immediately. Toby can do all of that.
Oh, there's no doubt.
And he's got a special gift there that most people, if you talk to back in the day, Lance, you'll remember this, the biggest fear in people's world was the fear of public speaking.
Yeah.
And I've never had a problem with that. As long as I feel like I know what I'm talking about. If you put me up there and start asking me questions, things I don't know about, I'm going to shoot straight with you and tell you, you're asking the wrong guy.
Absolutely.
But yeah, coaches, we have a golf tournament in memory of my dad up in Dumas. This was year 13. And this year I had T-signs made for the group of coaches that, for lack of a better term, raised me and raised a lot of the guys. I showed Lance, we took a picture, probably had about 25 or 30 guys that played in the golf tournament that played for one or more of those coaches. And I just had all their signs on the number one tee box together there because those are the guys that I went to the donut shop with on most mornings with my dad. I've told this story before, but we lived in a house that had a full bath, and then in Mom and Dad's room was just half bath, didn't have a shower or tub. And so Dad and I went to junior high. We went up to the place and showered in the mornings, and we'd go to the donut shop and let Mom have the bathroom in the morning. And so, to sit with those guys every morning, they did the same thing, and that's who raised me. And so I know what that means. And most, if not all of them, are gone now. In fact, I guess all the ones that I've had T-signs for are all gone. But well, they're not forgotten. Yeah. And the guys that stood behind those signs in that picture, they're not forgotten by them either.
Yeah. And John, you just mentioned, like who influenced you. That's cool. That was that quick. So I've got to ask you though, you coached as well, obviously give yourself some credit too, but How does that help you in the current job? Do you think, having actually been through the grind of it, dealing with kids, dealing with parents, schedules, whatever, or
I
just
think
the whole gamut?
The whole thing comes full circle when it comes to you be able to put yourself in their shoes of, hey, this coach is struggling. This coach is, whether he needs help scheduling wise or whether he helps with parents wise, or, we get all the time coaches come to our office and say, hey, we're struggling right now. What do you think? Do I need to pull back on my practice schedule? Do I need to, maybe next year not schedule a non-district game in between tournaments or whatnot? So we really try to help those coaches out. And I think having that background of, hey, being a coach and having, just that credibility when it comes to it, I think goes a long way with our coaches.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I got to ask you though, when, you want to be a head coach, I'm sure, rising through all the ranks and all that, and then suddenly Toby probably, nudges you, hey, why don't you try to become my assistant?
Yeah.
What was that a conversation like, and what eventually?
Yeah, no,
it
was really tough. I mean, that team we had at Randall, I mean, we knew how talented we were, and they ended up going to state tournament the next year.
Right.
So
yeah.
You kind of know
Randall baseball,
hey,
really good.
Are you going to give up on an opportunity to go to state tournament, or do you want to pursue your athletic career, or your career? And man, it was tough. A lot of prayer, a lot of conversation. At the end of the day, it goes back to what was best for my family. My wife is my absolute rock of our family. I could not be here without what my wife does, what my wife's family does. And she was the one to really say, you need to go for it and you need to chase your dreams. And I always knew athletic director was my goal. You mentioned it earlier. Like, a lot of people don't dream about being an athletic director. I was that one minority of it that I knew when I got into coaching, that I did want to move into administration. I really like the idea of being able to support coaches, of being able to support students, but being able to do it with, we work with the maintenance department and the HR department and, the communications department and the transportation and finance. And, you got to wear so many different hats. And I think that's something that one of my areas that I excel at is being able to fit in different groups, and being able to work hand in hand with people. But, to go back to your question, I would not be able to do what I do without my wife. And she was the one that really was,
that's
hey,
cool.
You need to go for it. And you need to chase your dreams and to have someone like Toby Tucker really believe in you. I think that says a lot of, where I was in my career. And I think without Toby, without him being able to kind of show me the ropes of, hey, this is what is the expectations. This is how, you handle this situation. This is how you handle that. Because, I mean, there's no book. There's no numbers of, players book. There's no, hey, this is how you be an AD. I mean, there's situations where, hey, you got a raccoon on the bus. What do you do? And it's just like, I mean, stuff like that happens. You just got to.
Just when you think you've seen it all,
exactly.
Something else.
Yeah,
happens.
Last week we had raccoons on one of our buses, and we had to get them
so
off.
How did you handle?
We got sticks and we chased them off the bus. I mean, that's just
I think we all would have done that.
It doesn't. There's
I don't
no.
know. Maybe you have a trick.
Where's your wife from originally?
She's a Vega girl.
Okay.
So she's a West Texas girl. So that's kind of how we met. When I first got into coaching, started off in Levelland, and she was at the junior high coaching at the junior high. So we kind of met there, and then she went on the friendship and I'm telling you, she was an unbelievable coach. I mean, she knew it, and she was a really good basketball and track coach there. And we started to after we got married and wanted to start having a family and stuff like that, she kind of took a backseat to it, and very blessed that she holds the fort down big time when we're traveling here, there, and everywhere when it comes to
there's so many
spring.
hours with an AD job.
Absolutely.
I mean, coaching job as well.
Yeah, we don't get an off season, and I think that's the biggest thing is, like, we're blessed to have so much success, and whether it's cross country or volleyball and football, that they just kind of bleed into one another, and we really don't get much downtime. One season goes to the next season, goes to the next season after that. So
Jimmy lives in Canyon, so he can relate to this question. But I've just been curious. I mean, you had to melt West Plains in. It's now we're in year 4 of that. So was there a formula, John, that you guys came up with? Because it's been such a success. I was just curious if you could kind of take us through that.
Well, there's two main parts, and I get this question quite a bit. And we have our state conference down in Round Rock, and I got asked this question by multiple athletic directors across the state, and my question was a two-part answer. Number one, you hire the right people, and that staff over at West Plains, Coach Cummings, David Castellan, we just hired as our girls coordinator over there. But if you just go down the list, I mean, there's 7, 8, 9 head coaches in waiting, and I'm just hoping that we can keep them all. But what a lot of people don't see is just what those coaches do when it's not game time and practice time, and how much those coaches care about kids. And all of our Canyon ISD coaches, but that West Plains coaching staff is absolutely, they've done a great job of formulating head coaches and assistant coaches over there. And the second part to that is West Plains is a school without a town. And they've done a really good job of making West Plains their quote-unquote water tower, and they paint that side of West Plains. If you go into businesses, you go into parking lots, people paint the wolf prints on their driveway. They've done such a good job of branding and just being able to outwardly proclaim what West Plains is all about. And I think when you get really good coaches in the right place, and then you get a community that's completely bought into it and that's completely engulfed with West Plains and something new, and they completely embrace it, and you merge those two things together, you're going to have success. And I think that West Plains has done such a great job of that, and being able to proclaim what they've done. And so very proud of what they've done.
Randall struggled with that through the years, kind of being without a town, if you want to, or a community, if you will. I can remember when Randall opened, and the buzz and the newness and all that was fun and games at the time. And then as time goes on, there's still there's that lack of, we're on the south side of Amarillo, Canyon's the golden child, and there was always that struggle. Well, West Plains kind of took a lesson from there, in my opinion, and took that next step. And you had a group of parents, and the reason I know this is my wife was the principal at Pinnacle, and so a bunch of those kids that went there ended up at West Plains. And I think this is a group of parents, in my opinion, I'm just stating my opinion here, that took the bull by the horns and said, we're going to brand this place our place. And they did a great job with it. And the rest of them are kind of going, wait a minute here. What about the rest of us? But it's because they've put themselves out there and they made a name for themselves.
Absolutely. It goes back to, we hired the right coaches in the right spots, but, Ross Macon and the Booster Club and what, they have done is just, you hire the right people for those positions of, you need the Booster Club, and you need people advocating for your programs, and being able to have those people in the right places also was a huge impact for West Plains.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I wrote this down, and I've talked about this with a lot of folks. So my wife finished her last 5 years in Canyon ISD. She was in Emerald ISD for most of her career, but she opened Pinnacle and was the principal there for the first 5 years it was open. And so we kind of got to watch this from the ground up. But, I still think Canyon ISD as a district, and I don't know that all the parents and the different groups in that area have realized Canyon's learning how to be a big school district. There's still a learning curve going on there, and the expectation is to get it now, and that takes time. And I mean, it's easy for me to sit from the outside, have somebody that's been in the admin side of it for many, many years. Emerald ISD's been established for years. Canyon ISD was Canyon High School, and then I watched Randall come on board, and you're still two high school deal, but you are a big school, and for those that don't realize it won't be the last. It's not going to be the last one. And so Canyon ISD, just the way it sits, I remember I was on a committee. This is when Mike Ortis was our superintendent. we had a committee to redraw the boundary lines because Randall was getting too full. We needed to shift some of that to the south. And so we changed the boundary line to McCormick Road at that time. And so we had an open meeting at Canyon High School, and we had an open meeting at Randall High School to answer questions. And all the committee, and then, of course, poor Mike, he had to get up the microphone. And I will never forget this as long as I live. But he's on the stage at Randall High School, and a pretty good sized group in the auditorium that night. And this one lady took the microphone down on the deal, and she says, I want to know where my kids will be going to school. And Mike said, well, do you live on the south side of McCormick, or do you live on the north side of McCormick? Because McCormick is the dividing line. She says, I live on McCormick Road. He said, okay, but do you live on the south side or the north side? She said, I just told you, I live on McCormick Road. She was very adamant about it. And so poor Mike, he didn't have anything else to say, but other than, well, ma'am, I've driven these boundaries pretty thoroughly, and I have yet to see a house that's in the middle of McCormick Road. Are you on the north side or the south side? Yeah. She wasn't getting the answer she wanted was the bottom line, and she wasn't happy with what the answer was going to be.
Yeah.
But that's how contentious it was, just moving a line. And then when we had to add West Plains and redraw some lines again, some of that affected Kim's school at Pinnacle. And so, some kids ended up going to West Plains Junior High. Is that what's it called?
West Plains Junior High.
West Plains Junior High now instead of Randall Junior High. And, so you got that new shift, and there wasn't much grandfathering allowed. It was just, this is the way we're going to go, and you move. Mm-hmm. And so every time that happens, that's a communal issue from a community standpoint. And I just think the folks that went into West Plains went in there and said, this is going to be our domain, this is going to be our turf, and we're going to be proud of it. And they did a great job with it.
You make a really good point of Kenyon ISD's in a transition time of going from the small school and that small school mentality of now, hey, we're a big school, 12,000 kids, K through 12. And I think as we grow, it's just going to become more and more. So, that's a really good point. And I think right now is a huge transition for our department, not just our athletics department, but for our whole
the district as a whole.
School district as a whole. And
Canyon High School is not the only game in town anymore.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of those folks that are having a hard time with that, because they were for so long. Yeah. But go to pick a place, go to Frisco. How many high schools they got now? I remember when they had one.
Yep, absolutely.
If you grew up in McKinney, you probably grew up a little bit back in the day when there was pasture land around McKinney.
Absolutely. Yeah, we played Frisco. There was Frisco High and Frisco Centennial. There was two when I was there.
It's like 10 now.
Yeah, now
10,
they're
and there was probably pasture land around McKinney back in the day.
Doubt. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. McKinney's a great place, though. So, hey, the not just West Plains, but all throughout, you have outstanding coaches. Is there a formula that you've kind of learned that to hire a successful coach?
Yeah, so one of the biggest pieces of advice I've ever gotten was whenever you find a program, you identify its strengths, you identify its weaknesses, and then you go target a coach for that to hit that. You don't really try to make the coach fit the program's got to fit the coach. And I think that's something that I always have in the back of my mind whenever we do hiring is, this coach may have 700 wins and this coach may have 5 state championships, but is it a right fit for those kids? Is it a right fit for that school? And, I have a really good relationship with all 3 of our high school principals. And, I go to them and I say, hey, what do you think this program needs? I mean, when we go to the games, Coach Corsi and myself, I always make the joke of people ask me what the score is. And I say, I have no idea what the score is because I'm always scouting coaches, whether it's our coaches, whether it's visiting coaches, or I'm like, I have no idea what the score is, but I know this coach at this visiting school has really good body language. And I put a star next to his name or her name. And I'm always in the back of my mind saying like, hey, if we ever have an opening, maybe this is someone that we need to visit with. And when it comes to hiring and stuff, it's always the program first. And then you try to target a coach and, it's hard to find coaches now. I mean, it's the old days where, you post a job on Texas High School Coach Association or you post it on the Region 16 website and you get 30 applications. Those days are not here anymore. You actively have to go and recruit, and you have to actively go if you want the best. I mean, if you're just satisfied with getting, this coach that, maybe have some baggage or something like that, but we want the best and I want the best. I'll never settle for middle tier coaches. I think we have a very attractive athletic department at all 3 of our campuses. So we try to go out and we target the best coaches that we can target. But yeah, it's always, the program will always be first when it comes to it. And I think we do a good job of identifying the strengths and the weaknesses of, what that program needs, and then going out there and identifying the coach that will fit that program.
Yeah, I like that. Coach Sherwood's the first one who ever introduced me to that philosophy. When he was, he had LIS, he had Lubbock ISD, was at Plainview forever. But he said, hey, this is who fits at Estacado basketball.
Absolutely.
And that's why I'm going to go get Tim Thomas from Palo Duro. You know what I mean? He fits. Lance, you wouldn't fit there. You know what I mean? Just use me an example. He's right. You know what I mean?
And it's not to say there's
a
mark on this coach or no. There's no disrespect on that coach. It's
not
just
at all.
Hey, everyone has their own personalities. Everyone has their own different character traits. Everyone has a different coaching style when it comes to it. And every program is completely different. And I think that's one thing about our 3 campuses is every school, every program is just so vastly different, and that's not different bad. It's not different good. It's just that's just the way that nature is, and every coach just doesn't fit that each one of those programs. So we try to give each program the very best shot when it comes to being successful.
You mentioned that the athletics directors get together, like on a statewide basis. So when you guys, maybe the last time you were together, what's a topic that you could maybe let us in on that's kind of on the minds of ADs?
The biggest one is NIL, and I think that's in my opinion, UIL hasn't said anything, but the NIL, me personally, I don't think it's a matter of if it's going to happen. I think it's just a matter of when it's going to happen, and I think that's something
gonna break your heart.
That's something on Texas high school coaches of when it comes to the ADs, our conferences, how can we handle it? I think college athletics, what they've done is not the way to do it, and that's just that. Again, that's
they
just,
don't have a handle on it.
Yeah, it's the kind of the wild west.
Yeah,
that's just me personally. I think there's parameters that you can put in place, and as a former college athlete, I think do they need to get paid? And you can make that argument.
I'm okay with getting paid.
I think the whole it's free agency when it comes to there's tampering and there's no loyalty.
It will hit the high school level eventually.
I think everything trickles down when it comes to college athletics. Everything give it 5-10 years. In my opinion, I think it is, and I think for the most part, majority of athletic directors across the state kind of have that same feeling of, hey, when it does get here, how do we handle this? How do we kind of put the reins on it? How do we control it, so to speak, when it comes to it?
Big Ten discussing $2 billion private capital deal.
Saw that. Yeah. That's pretty wild.
You said that, I'm going, I've just been reading about this. I'm like, not the high school level. No.
So, I mean, what would be in the market for the NIL deal? I don't know. I mean, you're going to have your South Lakes and your West Lakes, and you're going to have the Highland Park, the big name 6A, your Midland Lees or Permians, those people that have the huge
the job markets.
Yeah, it's not just the money, but it's the huge influence, so to speak. I mean, you put a South Lake quarterback up there, you put any kind of that. I think that's going to be huge. But I mean, hey, we got some kids that do some phenomenal stuff here, and for them to get a little piece of the pie, it's not all bad. I think. I don't want to influence where kids go to school. I think that's kind of where I draw the line of.
I think that's
hey, I don't want kids moving over here because they can get a NIL deal.
But
that's what's going to happen.
And I really don't.
Recruiting part of it's going to be the one that'll be the toughest to corral, in my opinion.
And I think that's where they need to draw the line of.
That's that job market. I can pay you X number to come to work for me here, but you got to bring a kid with you too. And that's been going on since the beginning of time. But now, if it's out in the open, those companies will be they'll be jockeying.
Like I said, UIL does a really good job of informing us. What Ray Zapata does down there, and his crew, Joseph Garman, all those people that are with the UIL, they do such a great job of informing not just athletic directors, but informing coaches, superintendents. They have a really good job of communication when it comes to it. But that state conference every year is one of the highlights of my year. It's something that we go down and you get to just, sounds bad, but you get to hear everyone's problems, so to speak. And it's like, hey, I got this problem, we got this problem, I got this problem, and it's like, man, I don't have this problem, but I got that problem. So then you go kind of communicate, hey, what are some strategies that you worked with, whether it's parents or passing a bond or passing a TRE or, working with scheduling or, working, hey, how do you do 4 high schools in one stadium, football stadium? What are some tactics that you use of scheduling? So it's huge for me. I gain something every single year. I always take something back, and very, very appreciative of Texas High School Athletic Directors Association.
Yeah. I asked a group of executive directors around town, some were new in their jobs and new to the nonprofit sector, if they would like to have just a very informal, small group, 6 of us. I'll provide lunch once every couple of months and give them a chance to come in and ask questions of one another, what they're dealing with, whether it be boards, insurance, similar situations from but the nonprofit structure is pretty much similar outside of your mission scope. And so we've had 2 or 3 meetings with that group, and it's fun to just sit back and watch them because I've been doing this a long time, but I still don't know everything. Yeah. And even new ones I learn things from. But to give them an opportunity to come in and just place you can vent and say, I'm dealing with this, and that's what you're talking about is, go talk with the folks that deal with the same thing you do every day.
And it's a fraternity. I mean,
sure it is.
Whether it's, guys, girls, I mean, there's some phenomenal female athletic directors across the state of Texas, but I mean, we're all going through the same struggles. I mean, we're all in the same boat, rowing it all, with community-based athletics is what Texas high school is all
You've got
about.
some good ones to work with locally, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Adam Nairn, we've got an office in Hereford, and I really like Adam.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's some good folks around there, Brad, and those type of people.
Absolutely.
And so, you've got good folks to just
and
pick up
we do.
locally.
I mean, I talked with Justin Heffley.
Yep.
Talked with Adam quite often. Coach Dunham up in Dumas. I mean, we got some really, really good people around this area.
Yeah, hands down.
One of the questions I wanted to get to you is the experience at Happy State Bank Stadium on a Friday night that you try to bring to fans, players, coaches, everybody involved is really pretty spectacular. What is your idea when you want to put on a show for a Friday night football game these days?
We want to highlight our student athletes, and that's the main goal. Is we want to create an atmosphere that people they walk away from the game, they say, man, what a ball game, but wow, what a stadium, and what an opportunity. We try to make it as close to Division I Texas Tech or Alabama or Mississippi State, Ole Miss. I mean, you name the SEC schools. That's what we want to be first class when it comes to it. And we strive to. We flash the lights. We got the jumbotron. We got all the graphics on the board. The band's playing. We really want to make it really impactful for student athletes when they walk away to say, yes, I played at Happy State Bank Stadium. And I think we do a really good job of making that memorable for students. One thing that is really, really cool is, we get to host these small schools and playoff wise. And I think it's important to do it. It's a lot more work for our department, but it's something that's meaningful to me. I love it when, whether it's a small school, whether it's a large school, whatever it is, but it's typically your smaller schools. They're so much appreciative of, getting to play at our stadium. And very first thing they do is they take their phones out and they take videos and they take pictures of it. And that's something that we take a ton of pride in. And we know that they're going to come into our house, they're going to take pictures, they're going to photograph it, they're going to put it on all their social medias. So something that we take a lot of pride in, and we want our kids to be able to tell their kids, I played at Happy State Bank Stadium, and hey, it was something that was impactful to their lives, and it's something that we do take a lot of pride in.
I remember when Buffalo Sports Park opened in the baseball and softball fields, those players doing the same thing at the collegiate level. They're out there taking pictures of these turf fields because there wasn't the norm back then. And, that's a big plus. Yeah. And the renovation you did on the south end of the stadium is just beautiful. And my mom always said that place was built for mountain goats, and now the normal person can get in there, And it was just something that needed to happen. And I'm so glad it didn't go away. I remember the first time I met Dr. Wendler, do I renovate Kimbrough? Do we build on campus? I said, well, you're the architect. You're going to know the answer to that. But for the district to have that in their backyard, and obviously a growing district, it's kind of like Dick Bevins. It's a great facility, and it's a special place to get to come play.
Yeah, one thing that we did with all the renovations and everything is we didn't want to take away from that that lore of Kimbrough Stadium. We wanted to keep the sides, keep the bowl, keep as much of that hill as we possibly can. We still have the Kimbrough plaque up there, so I think that we did a really, really good job of being able to balance that, of kind of the new school, upgrade it.
Yeah, I agree.
But still honor the tradition and honor the people that have come before us, because that is important to us. There's people that they played on that thing in the 50s and 60s, and we want to respect that, and we want to honor those people and make sure that we always preserve that history there.
If you ever get a chance to redo that press box and get rid of the wasp nest, go for it.
That would be the very first thing we need next. But
I remember sitting up there many a night chasing wasps out the windows up there.
Absolutely, it's
the
a special
press box.
place.
Oh
and
yeah,
it could talk. Yeah, it's had some games, man. One other thing the Canyon ISD encourages is you put the coaches and the players, and this doesn't make you a great school district or not, but you're not afraid to put them in front of the media.
Absolutely.
And speaking of public speaking, they get a lesson of that with a camera in their face, no less. But it's something as a person in the media for so long that I've always respected and admired because you don't have to do that, and some school districts refuse to do that, which is their prerogative. Okay, but take us into that. Part of the experience for an athlete growing up or a student athlete is maybe getting to talk to the media.
Yeah, I think it's huge. I think developing those soft skills, whether they're interviewing for the GOAT game when it's Randall and Canyon, or whether they're interviewing for their first position to become an engineer or their first job. I think being able to talk to people is a skill that is developed, and I think that our district takes that as a priority. Not only do we do the students with the media and the radio show and everything, but we do something that our district does is interview week, and I was blessed to be a part of it. Is we invite these companies from across Amarillo, Canyon, and we pretty much go through a mock interview with students. And I think being able to have those skills, I think is only going to make them be more successful. And one thing that we've done the radio show for 3-4 years now.
Yeah.
Just how impressive the kids are.
Oh,
I mean,
exactly.
Sometimes they speak better than I do. And
they're
it's
so amazing.
I'm like, golly, that's awesome. And there's no way when I was in high school that I would be able to formulate sentences and thoughts and have answers for media. And I mean, our media lunches, we got 20, 25 people up there, and they're firing away, and it's 15, 20-minute long conversations. And it's so impressive what the kids do. And I think we do. We want to highlight our student athletes. I mean, I think that's something that we take a lot of pride in of our athletes, and they're the ones that are competing. They're the ones that are doing the summer workouts, doing all sorts of after school workouts, early morning workouts, and those kids need to be celebrated. And I think our district really puts a premium of that. And I want those kids to be in the limelight, and I want those kids to experience. Hey, this is what you flip on ESPN. This is Aaron Rodgers, and this is Josh Allen, and you go even to the college level after the Final Four. I mean, you get those kids up there, and they're speaking to the media. So we need to develop young leaders of tomorrow.
That's exactly where I was going. Is they get a chance to see things that we didn't when we were younger because just the way the media set up social media and whatnot. But if they pick those right ones and those role models out there to emulate and hone their skills in off that, I think that's where the internet, social media in general can be a big benefit to a young person. We sometimes we think of all the negative things that social media brings about, but there are some positive things, and if they take those good traits from some of those athletes that they idolize, pick a sport, and the ones that know how to speak and have some humility to themselves. Are beneficial to young people.
But I also think it kind of humanizes those kids.
Oh,
I mean,
totally.
A lot of times especially high school kids, you read about them in the paper, you read about them on an article of like, hey, this kid is, Reed Makin's this Sydney Winfrey, this is, you just read about them. But now, hey, you get to see them in person, you get the video, you get to hear their thoughts. And I think that just adds on to the atmosphere, and that just adds on to those types of kids, and something that our district really wants to kind of push.
The other thing they have to learn too is the accountability side of it, because what they say matters not only to us as just general public, but to their peers back at the school and everything else. And they have to pick and choose their words carefully, just like we do. And so just because you have freedom of speech, you better know how to you better know how to manipulate that.
Yeah, and it's a learning lesson.
Absolutely,
believe it or not,
teaching moment.
The first coach who ever introduced me to this was Larry Dipple. He would let all his players talk, and some of them said some pretty, like it looks different in print, obviously, than they're saying it. You know what I mean? But he would always. If something was kind of out there, he'd go, Lance, did he really say that? And I said, yeah, Coach, he did. He goes, okay, learning lesson so he would bring that kid and say, look, and then as you get older as a reporter, you would edit it. Yeah. By that I mean, okay, look, I'm not gonna throw you out when you're young, when you're just gonna say what they say, but I will say this, that he called it a learning lesson. and it is to this day.
Yeah, I think our coaches do a pretty good job of kind of coaching them up.
Before
on the way over there before practice.
The best coach of all time, Steve Parr, Paladuro.
Yeah.
He goes, now you will not say anything about Amarillo High.
Yeah.
You will not disrespect any other player. You got that? You're just going to answer about you.
Yeah.
And he would have them coached up so you could tell what was going to be said. But
that's why they're successful. Steve, Seth, Scott. I mean, that's why their lineage is successful,
going
because
into the
they learn
Hall of Fame all together on October 31st.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Yeah. Hey, best part of your job, man. What do you just really, really love about it?
Man, best part is just being able to see each campus from a 30,000 view, like up in the air. Because like a lot of people, they get zoned in on, hey, my kids go to Canyon, my kids go to Randall, my kids go to West Plains, but hey, they're all our children. I mean, that's the thing, is like being able to work with these coaches at Canyon, at Randall, at West Plains, and I think that's the best part of just being able to see the differences, see the successes, see the failures. I mean, there's times where, hey, we're not going to win every game, and being able to see how different communities are, but just how great they all are. And I think that's so special. And I think, they're different. Yeah, there's hard times, but there's no place that these kids or these coaches would rather be than here. And I think that truly builds our athletic department, that family type bond that's just really, really special. People ask, hey, what makes us different? And I think that's what makes us different, is we truly care for each other. When Randall's playing Canyon, they're going to get after their tails, and Randall's playing West Plains, they're going to compete their tails off. But when they need help against another opponent, there's no one cheering. I mean, I saw Adam Cummings at the Canyon game last week, and he's cheering on Todd Winfrey. And I think that's what makes us special. That support of, we're going to compete. We're going to, we want to get after it. But after the game, we're going to shake hands. We're going to be professionals, and we're going to root on each other. And I think being a part of a district that does that, that doesn't happen everywhere.
No, that's easier said than done.
I grew up in McKinney and North and Boyd. I can tell you right now that's not that doesn't happen.
They're not best friends.
No, they're not. And I think that I mean, that's, maybe it's changed since I've been there, but that the rivalries are really strong, and but what we do is really, really special.
I suspect you deal with some similarities of things that we deal with. Two different scales, but there are some things in common that I know you deal with. I tell our staff regularly, when you're dealing with someone's kid, that parent's always right as it relates to their kid. But when they come into our program, it may not be what's best for your kid, or my kid, but it's going to be what's best for all kids. Yeah. And I know you deal with those parents from time to time that probably don't subscribe to that theory. Talk to me a little bit about how you have to deal with some of those sometimes, because I know they land on your desk.
Yeah, absolutely. And parents, the number one thing, they're parents. They're always going to advocate for their kid. So I always kind of go into that meeting of, hey, they're just advocating for their kid. 9 times out of 10, when you have parent conflicts, a lot of times parents just want to get their feelings off their chest, and they want to be heard. And you got to respect that.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think one thing that, as I've grown in my coaching career, is you don't have to win the parent meeting. And I think that's a great point. That's where a lot of coaches struggle, is like, hey, I have to, when a parent comes in, it's in confrontation. It's me versus them. They're sitting across, typically you sit across the table from someone. I always like to bring them on the same side of the table. And I want to hear their points, but they also have to hear our points of, hey, this is our standards. This is, why it's important that we have protocols, or we have rules, and our standards aren't going to change. Whether it's your kid, another kid, or the standards don't change. And I think that's a big point when it comes to it, of, hey, you're respectful. You understand that, hey, they're advocating for their kid, but also you have to stand your ground. And there's a way to do it that's not going to come off intimidating. That's not going to belittle the parent, or it's not going to disrespect the parent. But I think that's something that, it's just a skill that you have to learn.
Great point.
Yeah, I love that. I had one other one. Obviously, you played the sports, athlete. When you were the athlete, okay, what's same about today's athletes? And I know you're not that old, but what's same as today's athletes, and what's different than when you played?
Oh, a lot of it. So I didn't grow up in the Instagram or the TikTok or any of that stuff.
Yeah,
so
the whole social media
so
thing.
like kids played the game because they love the game, and like I mean, whether I was going to get 10,000 likes on Instagram or I went and I busted my tail because I knew that was the only way to do it. Like, you know, you play a doubleheader and hey, it's 9 innings. You take a little, get a peanut butter jelly sandwich and you play another 9 innings. And, you know, nowadays I think, and I'm not saying this like in a negative way, but like you have so much more of like the 7-on-7 stuff and like, hey, I got to get my TikTok likes up and I got to get my Instagram likes up and I got to get this recognition and that recognition and that's all fine and dandy. Like that's great. Kids need to be recognized. They need to, you know, they're working hard. They need to have recognition. But like some of that stuff, man, it's just hard for me to embrace. And I think that's the one thing is, you know, back when we just did it because we love the game and like coach said, hey, we're going to do this. And you said, yes, sir. And that's exactly kind of what you did. Now it's like, oh, I got to do this. I got to wear this visor. I got to wear this, these pink cleats, these yellow cleats, this kind of makes it more individualized as opposed to more of a team aspect. And I think that's something that I've kind of seen. And, you know, it's high school, it's college, the NFL.
Totally.
You see, you know, the wide receivers in the NFL, it's kind of a me first kind of a league. But I think that's kind of the trend that's growing that I was never a part of, and it's really, really hard for me to be a part of.
Go back to our era and my era. You just went out and played with your friends.
Yeah,
I mean there was no organization. You just called up and said, hey, let's just go play some ball.
Yeah, we always knew where everyone was because that's where their bikes were in the front yard. I mean, that was like, hey, that's where everyone.
Kind of like the old Sandlot days, you know what I mean? But yeah. Jimmy, you got anything for John?
No. I'm going to tell you thanks for being here and
Absolutely.
Thanks for sharing your time with us because I know your schedule's busy. I'm going to answer your question that you probably don't remember asking.
Oh.
So I've got a friend that lives in Abilene that's a regular listener. Remember Saco? And you go, where did the name Saco come from?
We do. I do.
So I grew up in Dumas, and this young man was a couple years.
Saco.
His sister and I graduated high school together. He was 2 years behind. He sent me a text. He said, please clarify this. Name, Turner Allison Carricker III. I knew his dad knew he was named after his dad, but he's the third. The ladies at First Baptist Church started calling me Saco because I kept hitting Don Mark Bobby and Richard Rogers. Back in the late 50s, there was a cartoon character called Saco. First day of Hillcrest, they called me Turner during roll, and it quickly became Saco because of Don Mark and Richard. So therein lies where he got the name Saco.
Okay. I love
Turner,
names.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
He lives across the street from Alan Wardis, Mike's brother.
Yeah.
And so Alan, he's got Alan hooked in with us now.
We want Alan to come on the show.
Yeah, he's going to come up for the game against Kingsville. When Scott comes up to play. We need to try to get him in, see if we can, But anyway, thank y'all for listening, and
John,
there's your answer about Saco.
We do appreciate you listening. John, great stuff today.
Thank you for being here.
This Rock Rose Park will impact CISD.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Directly,
I think
you know what I mean?
it's fantastic. You know, as a dad that has, you know, young kids, I think this is huge that they can just stay locally and they can sleep in their own beds and we don't have to travel to Oklahoma City or Colorado or New Mexico. I think, man, what an opportunity for kids, not just, you know, Amarillo kids, but Panhandle kids of, hey, get an opportunity to play on some first-class fields, to be around first-class people. And I think it's just such a great time for our area. And this is exactly what this area needed, and in my opinion. I think y'all have knocked it out of the park every single step of the way. I've heard nothing but good things about it, and I know there's a buzz, there's excitement about it, and I'm so lucky to be be at the ground opening next week, and I'm really excited about
this. Maddie, correct me if I'm wrong, but this episode will be posted Tuesday morning. So Tuesday morning, when you get this, that afternoon, 4:30, park over there by the movie theater, and come on back behind there on the south side of the movie theater between Sports World and the movie theater on the South Loop and I-27, and groundbreaking at 4:30. We'll have about 100 kids with shovels in their hands.
That's awesome.
Ready to get this thing going.
That's really cool.
I hope y'all can make it out.
And you're inviting the public?
Oh, public and general public's invited. Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, we'd love to have anybody who wants to come out.
And I know you never make it about yourself, but how when you wake up that morning, like how's that going to impact you, do you think, if you don't mind?
So, we had a meeting with our contractors yesterday, and, one of the biggest decisions we're going to make in this whole process is the turf company. I'll just be honest with you, because we're putting down acres and acres and acres and acres of turf. John, you know this. And but there's a price point involved in it too, and, it's a competitive business, and we have to look at that because there's so many other parts to this thing. All these bids come in, and you want to go with the low bid where you can, but you can't always do that when you don't know if they can meet timelines or they can meet supply and demand.
Or the quality.
Or the quality of the project. The turf companies, and I'll just use them as an example, I think across the board, everything that we've seen, and I mean, we have done as much research on all the companies that we're looking at as we possibly can. And I mean, I literally called a friend of mine that's president at Eastern Michigan University and asked him to contact a president friend of his at another university up in that area, far away from here, just to get a reference point from somebody that I don't know, and somebody that can give me just an honest opinion. A turf that had been down 8 years, how's it holding up? Yep. And those type of questions we're digging deep into. And so, but I told our contractors yesterday, no, I don't have a problem going and asking for money. All they can do is tell me no. If they say yes, then great. But it's been all fun and games to this point in time. And now the responsibility part of it's coming in, and the weight of, we get one chance to get this right, is looming. And I think that's where our Southwest general contractors, our engineers, and our architects are, is we're going to get one chance to get this right. And so that has been the cornerstone of every decision we've made, that we got to get this one right, because this is going to be something that's going to be left for this community long after I'm involved with this deal. And so it's definitely not about me. This is my visual of this thing is on Tuesday, which when this airs this afternoon, these kids, a tackle football team, a flag football team, a soccer team, a volleyball team, a cheerleading squad, a baseball team, and a softball team in uniform with shovels in their hands, turning the dirt, 25, 30 years down the road, they'll be the ones coaching their kids. Yeah. That's what I think about. And I've been here 30 years, and I've seen two generations come and into play at this organization. And but it's not about me. I don't own anything here. And so but this community's benefited from this program. We're 80 years old this year. And if it went away, if this organization went away, take all the people out of it, if Kids Inc. went away, there would be a big void in Amarillo and Canyon in the area of youth sports. And I'll go back to something you mentioned a little bit earlier. If sports isn't the child's interest, find something else for them, whether it's church activities, band, theater, choir, whatever the case may be. But kids need to be involved in organized activity. They can't function in this day and time without being socialized and socially acclimated to others around them. And so putting them in front of a microphone or whatever the case may be, the opportunities they have, take the good things that come from the social media and the media opportunities and those public speaking times and get them accustomed to that, because they're going to have to do that in life. And I tell parents that all the time. And you don't know in what may or may not happen to you. I'm a decent example of, I grew up a coach's kid. I love sports, everything about it, especially football and baseball. I got my right eye put out the BB gun when I was 10 years old. That limits things as you get older. I see nothing coming from this side. And, you get tired of getting hit from the blind side, or you can't judge a baseball coming at you in the batter's box anymore. So only one of those happens to any one of your kids. If you've got all your eggs in one basket, absolutely, and you don't have a backup plan for that kid, you're not doing your kid any justice. So living proof here, find backups to whatever it is. If they're in band, great. But find a backup for them, because they may not want to play that drum or that flute or that clarinet or that trumpet all their life. Find something else for them to be involved. Get them involved in group activities that socially acclimates them for this world.
Yeah, just find
end of soapbox.
I like it. Find your passion. It's going to be a historic day, though. I mean, everybody gets to physically see something happening out there, and that's what everybody's been wondering, So fair enough.
There's going to be a lot of dirt moving here pretty quick.
You're going to see a lot of action out there. So, it's going to be exciting. So exciting. John, thanks a lot for coming in, man. It was a great conversation today. Jimmy, as always, we appreciate you. I think one of my questions next time is, I I was watching some podcasts, and this was their question. What do you know more about something than anybody else?
Ooh, that's a really good question.
You know what I mean? Like it could be Star Wars. Some of the answers were amazing.
Batman. I'm Batman.
See, okay. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think
it's a great thing.
The original Adam West Batman.
Mine would just be random trivia. Like my wife is just amazed. She's like, "How do you know?" Like I saw the picture of some. It's like my brain's like 90% useless trivia, 10% of what my wife said 5 minutes ago. And I don't know.
Useless trivia.
Somehow, like the good Lord just puts random facts, and I just stick to it, and I remember it. And then someone's, just random fact, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's that answer. And they're like,
I used to dream coming down the bat poles. Yeah, I'm the Adam West Batman, not these new. So every time I open the garage door in the back and I pull my truck in for any reason, I'm like, I feel like I'm pulling in the bat cave.
Going into the bat cave. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, no, I love that. So maybe we'll
good question.
Yeah, no,
that's a good one.
I don't know if I have an answer.
Their answers were like,
that's a good one.
I know more about. Like the flowers you grow in the Panhandle than most people.
That's good.
Because I've failed at it so often. Not me personally, but I know somebody that was their answer to me. I was like that. So
I tell our folks all the time, if I'm the smartest guy in the room today, I need to go to another room. I'm not that smart. So
yeah, exactly. So hey, like I said, John, thank you so much, Jimmy. As always, great stuff. So you have been listening to the Fieldhouse Podcast. We are a production of the Kids Inc. Sports Network, and like I always just say, we will see you when we see you.